Here we go!
Mario Kart is a series that unfortunately became pretty absent in my later years, simply because I lost out on playing on the handheld Nintendo consoles. So given that, I tend to have a really nostalgic grip on the Super Nintendo and Nintendo 64 versions. I spent hours and hours playing them with my brothers and friends, and they truly were a staple of my childhood. Now, for those who have lingered on the channel for a while, you know I've always had a weird fixation on beach environments. Partially because I never got to visit the ocean as a kid, so I settled on the next best thing: video games. There's just something super chipper about Mario beaches. Whether you're driving around on a cart, sitting seaside on Al Delfino, or combing through the shores of Bub Lane in Super Mario Odyssey. But if you're like me, a hardcore introvert, my type of beach is something a bit more desolate. If I could choose between an abandoned shoreline in the middle of nowhere versus a standard beach, I'm for sure going for that no human experience. So of course it's only natural that I reflect this mentality in video games. Which is what brings us to my odd fixation on a beach that for the most part remains hidden in Mario Kart. A beach that game developers left behind. You know the shtick by now. There's some unexplored territory out there, we're gonna go check it out, and we're gonna go on a field trip about the lost beach of Mario Kart DS. So it goes without saying that I like my beach experiences like I like my internet. Private. So that's why I want to thank ExpressVPN for sponsoring this video. In today's world, privacy is becoming less and less of a thing, unless you take the proper steps to protect yourself. With ExpressVPN, your data is encrypted and sent through a secure tunnel so that prying eyes don't see it. You download it for your computer, laptop, phone, or tablet, and select which country you'd like to use as your location, and presto. Your connection is now protected and appears to be coming from somewhere else. A lot of people also utilize ExpressVPN to watch blocked content that isn't available in their country, like a Netflix. Personally, I used ExpressVPN a lot last year for YouTube work purposes. I'm always experimenting on YouTube, and using a VPN let me test uploading videos from other countries to see how they perform differently. ExpressVPN masks my IP address, so I know my information is private, encrypted, and protected. And that's a good feeling. So if you want to keep your information protected and possibly watch some shows you normally can't, be sure to click my link, expressvpn.com/SwankyBox, in the description below to find out how you can get 3 months for free. And a huge thanks to ExpressVPN for supporting my channel and sponsoring this video. Now, when you think of beaches in the Mario Kart series, Koopa Troopa Beach more than likely comes to mind. It's an iconic level that has been repurposed time and time again throughout the series. If you nail that shortcut, you're golden, and if you don't, you'll be swimming with the fishes. Now, Koopa Beach is cool and all, and of course, so is Cheep Cheep Beach, but within Mario Kart DS's files remains a very neat beach that was off axis for a very long time. When people began combing through the files of both the Mario Kart DS kiosk demo and the final version of the game, a few unused tracks were found in the files. Now, the problem is, a lot of these weren't really in working order. Depending if you're using the demo or the final build, certain levels lacked almost all their textures, and really the framework for some of them was all that was in place. According to online resources, falling off the edges of the track could cause the game to crash too, as the game logic wasn't finished. Through the ambitious work of talented modders and Mario Kart enthusiasts such as davidevgen, SGC, Anonymous Kitty, Pablo MK7, and Yashi, these unused levels were brought back to working order so that people could give them a whirl. And in my eyes, the most interesting level out of the bunch is Nokonoko Course. Pardon my pronunciation if I butchered it. This particular level translates to Koopa Troopa Course, and it features a sprawling beach with many different paths you can take. I was instantly hooked when I saw this existed, because a desolate beach that's been abandoned for years is my kind of jam. Driving around this beach, you can get a feel for just how hectic of a track this would have been. Honestly, with the water creeping up on the sides and the super narrow paths, it would have been very tight for 8 racers to get through this stage. The entire stage is about choosing left or right paths, and you're hit with choices over and over again. The first section has you either take a left path, passing over 6 small linked islands, while the right path takes you along a narrow sand bridge, barely sticking out of the water. Soon after this, you are hit with a ramp and then are presented with another option. You can take a right and go under the rocky overhang, or take a steep left and head out into the middle of the island's inner pool. If you choose the left, you'll come across a ramp that will launch you across the water to a small island. At this point, you'll probably stick to the left, but again, you have a decent amount of options. For example, you could have skipped the water ramp and taken a right, which would have merged you back with the other path. And at that point, you could have branched out and taken the narrow water bridge like at the beginning of the stage. All these parts converge around a secondary rocky bend, and then you're back at the starting line. It's neat though because this level has 4 sections where you can take one of 2 paths. So even though it would have felt claustrophobic racing along your peers, all of the options would naturally divide up the traffic. Something I find interesting about the beach is that majority of the large rock structures lack tops in their model. Underneath them, the water flows. So if you were to use a moon jump code to hop over them, you'll find yourself falling into the water and being reset back onto the track. This is probably because from the vantage point of the course, you'd never see the tops of these objects anyways. So why not save some resources by eliminating the tops of these structures? I think by far the strangest thing about this beach is that it only has 1 resident. Mind you, as racers, we're just here to cruise by and then proceed on to the next track. But there's one single Goomba present on this map. He's halfway through the course and he's here to block racers who may bump into him. But this humble little dude is out here just living his best life on an island all by himself. Forever dancing in place on a beach most people don't even know exist. And even if they did, isn't readily accessible without modifications. I don't know if that's super cool or super depressing. Nokonoko Beach is a place that will probably remain buried in obscurity. I mean, we're pushing the decade-and-a-half mark soon since it was released, and these golden sands will remain stagnant for the rest of time. I felt it was only right to give the stage a grand departure though, and to test out the constraints of the level. So good old Luigi blasted off to the edges of the skybox. Interesting enough, the flooring beneath the water, which keeps your character from sinking too deep, actually stops before the skybox. If Luigi were to fall off after it, he'd plummet into the great beyond while still triggering the water reset animation. It's possible to blow past the skybox and outside into the great white void, but it's impossible to course correct to come home. So we need to fall into the reset plane so we can get warped back. With this, Luigi set his sights with the stars as he blasted off above this abandoned beach. It was kind of weird watching the beach get smaller and smaller below me. In a strange way, I felt like a seaplane leaving an island. But I suppose that's what made it the perfect way to close out my visit to Nokonoko Island, the lost beach of Mario Kart DS. And with that, hope you enjoyed this quick look at some forgotten sands. Thanks for watching, guys and gals, and until my next video, cheers.